We celebrate Black History Month by recognizing pioneers in all walks of life. Today, we focus on Michael Chamblain, NBA agent and co owner of Brene Herzliya Basketball. Hello, Mr. Michael Chamblain. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for speaking with me today. You played professional basketball before, trading in sneakers for dress shoes. What led to your career transition from player to sports agent?
The biggest change was just wanting, I guess, something that's would allow longevity. A playing career doesn't really last forever. It's a very short time, especially when you become a professional. Not everyone has those 10 or 15-year careers like, you see on TV. Some only last 5 years or less. So wanting to transition into something that you can really build but control a little more was a key part of that.
Yes, it's very smart. Great move. What types of habits did you apply from your playing career to your role as a sports agent?
Really just learning the game. That part is always important. When you're playing basketball, you want to know as much as you can, but also when you're working with athletes of any sport, you want to be able to have an intelligent conversation when you're speaking about something. So you always continue to learn, no matter if you switch to a different sport and you're working with other athletes or anything. You just want to try to learn as much as possible. But with basketball, it was almost like I was continuing to lead the path of a coach. Like I always wanted to be able to have like really in-depth conversations about games with the athletes and be able to pick their brain as much as they picked mine because I was more of a neutral party when it comes to something like that. Of course, them performing well is in my interest, but as far as someone that's not on their team or a coach on their team, they can just have an open conversation and say, hey, like, what did you see? Or what do you think I could do better? As opposed to someone that's yelling those instructions at them.
Definitely. The job of a sports agent is normally glamorized. We all know that. Now, why do you feel the need to publish a book, Sports Management Notes, exposing the real world of the sports industry?
Well, it's just a lot of people that want to be sports agents. Even more in the past 2 years since I guess, become more active on social media, LinkedIn. But there are a lot of people that have a lot of questions, and you can't really learn it from watching TV. I know my first perception of agents from seeing movies like Jerry Maguire or watching Entourage. One of my favorite characters was Ari Gold, and him being a Hollywood agent doesn't really show what you have on a day-to-day basis, which can be all types of things thrown at you. So being able to prepare the next person for that and really say, I know you want this career path, but you have to really think about what parts of it you like and understand there's always going to be parts of something you don't like, but make it worth your while and learn just how to go about getting into that career. The same way they want basketball players or any athlete to be younger and younger when they become professionals. I'd like to see younger agents, or at least in the training of becoming an agent, know what they're getting into.
Yes, I agree. What steps did you take to become part owner of an Israeli basketball team?
The steps were really just negotiation. It was exactly what I've been doing for years as an agent anyway. So just putting that into a different, I guess a different goal was in mind to work towards something bigger and be able to, I guess, affect numerous players as opposed to that one that might be your client. So, just negotiation, but also learning more and more about ownership and co-ownership and building a new network of current owners in professional sports, NBA, internationally, all over. Just really learning about what their roles are, because the owners of companies, everyone has a different role. You can be the owner of a one-man company. You can be the owner of a company that has 1,000 employees, anything. So just really learning what are people looking at you to do, because I knew what I wanted to accomplish with it, but I wanted to know what others were doing out there.
Wow. Can you share one story from your days working with the Boston Celtics?
Um, I didn't work for the Celtics. I worked mainly their basketball camps, that was one of the first actual jobs in sports I had, I would say. And at that time, it was the Boston Celtics camp, but they were outsourcing it to another company called Basketball City. And working with them, I really learned just how much of sports is a business in the first place. I'm grateful for that because it really introduced me to a lot of people in the organization. So I can say it helped me with that, but just the lessons of learning how much of business goes before anything. Before anything hits the basketball court, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. So just doing that, I would say the best part about it was meeting someone that's a friend to the day, Avery Bradley. He's a professional player down in Miami now, but he was a rookie when I was working with the Celtics camps back in, I can't even remember how long ago now, but like, just meeting him and and building that relationship was one of the keys to helping me get to where I am now. He was one of the first NBA players to trust me with business things like that, from setting up a basketball camp for him, and that turned into doing business with other Boston Celtics players, and eventually just growing to what it is now.
Wow, that's amazing. What is one bit of advice you would share with a high school basketball player who has plans of playing in the league?
Biggest advice is to put yourself in the best position possible. Not everyone is going to have the publicity and the fame that you see with some high school players, but you want to try to be in the same area. You always want to be in the room, or in that case, it's in the gym. So if you're not one of the top 50 or top 100 players listed in the nation right now as a high school player, it doesn't mean you can't make it. It just means you have to try harder to get your name out there. So, the schools that those players go to, you want to try to go to the same schools. If not, you want to try to play against them so that you're still on the same stage, and continue to just work as hard as possible. There's no one that's going to get there without that hard work. There's a lot of it looks easy, but none of it is. So it's a lot of physical preparation, but you have to mentally prepare yourself to be in the NBA. And you see a lot of people get out because they're not mentally prepared. They were gifted enough and talented enough, but couldn't mentally prepare or get ready to travel or have 82 games in a season. Like, that's not easy at all. And you're away from family for most of the year. So you just have to really accept that that's part of your life, and other people are going to be invasive into your personal life. So you're giving up a lot to gain a lot. And there's a lesson to be learned in that, even in high school.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Mr. Chamblain, for that word of advice and just being here to be able to speak with me today. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
No problem. You have a great day.
You too. Thanks.
Well, you heard it here first, people. I'm Kaylin Alexander with IRHS News, and this was your spotlight on pioneers in Black history.